Without seeing you, we love you. Without touching you, we embrace. Without knowing you, we follow. Without seeing you, we believe. We return to you deep within. Leave the past to the dust. Turn to you with tears and fasting. You are ready to forgive. Without seeing you, we love you. Without touching you, we embrace. Without knowing you, we follow. Without seeing you, we believe. The sparrow will find a home near to you, O God. How happy we who dwell with you forever in your house. Without seeing you, we love you. Without touching you, we embrace. Without knowing you, we follow. Without seeing you, we believe. Forever we sing to you of your goodness, O God, proclaiming to all the world of your faithfulness and love. Without seeing you, we love you. Without touching you, we embrace. Without knowing you, we follow. Without seeing you, we believe. For you are our shepherd, there is nothing that we need. In green pastures we will find our rest, near the waters of peace. Without seeing you, we love you. Without touching you, we embrace. Without knowing you, we follow. Without seeing you, we believe.
Happy Wednesday, church. It's a pleasure to be with you for this week's Wednesday night chat. As we did last week, we are continuing in our series where we reach out to folks around the congregation and we talk a little bit about Christmas and what Advent and Christmas and the Incarnation mean to you. And this week, again, you might, this face might look familiar to you. Tyler Rouse. It's Rouse,
yeah,
right?
It's okay. Rouse.
Yeah, I don't want to say Roos or Rouse, but anyway, it's Rouse. Tyler Rouse is our worship ministry associate here at Buda, and he is here and he's going to chat with us, and hopefully we can have a good conversation about what I feel like is a very God thing that we do in church, which is get ready for Christmas.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But Tyler, you've been here how many years?
This is my fourth year.
Fourth year. Okay. And I still find it funny that, Buda is a community where we have a lot of folks online, sometimes exclusively, but for those folks who may not have had a chance to talk with you and get to know you, do you mind maybe sharing a little bit about who you are and how you came to Buda?
Oh goodness, yeah. So I'm originally from Dallas. I moved here 2018 to start studying at Texas State University, just 30 minutes south of here, or 20 minutes, I guess. And I am still, a student there taking classes, but I fell in love with being in a Methodist church. It was just a weird thing, up in Dallas. I grew up in the church. But then I just had a slight falling out before I moved back down here, and for the longest I felt like I may not be interested in possibly attending a church, but then I found a job posting for this and I said sure, whatever, and it was definitely a God thing. Beautiful people, wonderful church family down here in Buda, and I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon, right?
So, coming to Buda was your first experience with Methodism, is that?
Yes.
So you were, if I remember correctly, Baptist.
Oh, yes.
And do you consider yourself a Methodist now, or do you consider yourself employed by the Methodist?
I consider myself a Methodist. I would for sure, but I feel like denominations, just we're here for more reasons than just denominations. I feel like.
Well, and I think something that has been ingrained deeply into the DNA of Methodism is that it is a broad umbrella, typically.
Yeah.
And what I have found, at least in my experience, is that you have all sorts of denominational influences that sort of make Methodism that place that is exactly what you say. Like denominations,
Exactly.
like we're trying to gather around some central things about our faith, and that's I think Methodist is done. So maybe you are Methodist.
I think so. I think so.
Often, these stories in the Bible don't become real to us until we experience them in our own lives, in our own context, in our own ways. And so I'm curious to know, what does Christmas mean to you, and what kind of spurred on that meaning for you? Was there a moment in your life or a particular Christmas that spoke to you?
Yeah. I don't know if it was a particular Christmas, but I know it's so funny that we just finished stewardship, right? And now we're moving into Advent. I don't know who planned that, but the idea of, Advent and the whole entire idea of Christmas from an early age was all, my family has been very insistent about giving, right? Obviously, it was fun to get things, but spending the time, and the more, since I moved away, and the more I get older, the more you realize that it's about the time that you have with family.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the time that people are there around you, and I think I mentioned a story to you growing up, and one Christmas Eve we surprised my great grandmother. I was so happy to get to know her, and drove all the way from Dallas to Lubbock on Christmas Eve. And
which is how many hours?
Normally it's about 5 hours,
Yeah.
but on Christmas Eve,
hike.
it was, but on Christmas Eve, these highways and everything completely frozen over, and it took us, between 8-9 hours at night to get from Dallas to Lubbock, and I was stuck in the back seat, and there was about 6 of us all in a van packed up, all my mom and dad, my grandparents, and even though it was a stressful ride, I always look back on it and remember getting to my great-grandparents' house and seeing family and everybody there after this long car ride. And at the time, I didn't care much about it. I just wanted to get to Christmas morning, right? But today, looking back on it, presents, yeah, more importantly. But looking back on it, it's I miss it, right? I miss a lot, and now every time I go back to visit family, maybe a couple of days, right? But those couple of days definitely mean a lot.
So for you, Christmas is a season that intentionally brings us together.
Yeah, intentionally. And sometimes unintentionally, right? And that's the best. That's the best part of it. I feel like, because some people you may not want to be around all the time. I kind of call them your milk friends, right? You take them out of the fridge for a little bit and spend time with them for a couple of days before you put them away again, right?
Otherwise it spoils.
Otherwise it spoils, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think holidays, especially this Christmas season, you're intentionally and unintentionally brought together with people that you need to see regardless. And whether they celebrate Christmas, whether they don't even celebrate Christmas or anything, the fact that you're there and you're spending the time together in this season, there's something about it. There's something about that, whether you celebrate it or not. Something about that togetherness I feel is universal in this time. So.
Well, and I think the intentional aspect is interesting. I don't know where I heard it, and so I'm borrowing this thought. Well, I suppose every thought we have somehow borrowed.
Like
But I don't know that I have to qualify it. But anyway, the notion that we are kind of born into a community, and we don't really get to choose that community that we're born into, and that, again, on the most basic level, is our family.
Yeah.
and you're born into this community of folks that you may or may not learn how to, the milk maybe will get spoiled regardless of how you spend time together. But part of the growth, part of what we do is we actually learn how to be together.
Exactly.
And hopefully you learn that in your the most close-knit of communities, which is your family, so that when you go out into the world, you have some sort of reference point for how to be together.
Exactly.
Culturally speaking, it's almost like we're waking up from this weird period of history where we just didn't have to be together in the same ways. So do you feel like this is something Christmas, the church, can offer the world, in terms of if we understood Christmas as a time for all sorts of people to be together, maybe whether they wanted to or not? How do you feel about what the church can offer the world through Christmas?
I feel like it can offer the sense of togetherness with a sense of humility. And that's a key. Unfortunately, we've come to a time where, some people have a certain view of the church, and us being inside the church, we know that some of that may be true, but some of it may not be true, and it's just an outside perspective. But Christmas is a time that we can take the idea of togetherness, intentionally, unintentionally, and actually make it come alive with the idea of humility. Right? You can't have the idea of togetherness, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, without humility, because.
Well, how do you feel? Like, I think the humility aspect is interesting. How do you feel the Christmas story, as it pertains to our faith, speaks to humility? Like, what about it is humble in your mind?
I think Morris hit it perfectly last week. Whenever anybody can look at a newly born baby and think that this is the maker of everything. Really? Are you kidding me? It makes no sense to us in reality to think that somebody that powerful, that eternal, has the love, first of all, and the care enough to put himself in such a vulnerable position. There's nothing more humble, nothing more humble than that.
Yeah.
So that in itself speaks wonders.
Yeah. And we can embody that humility as we gather together. Yeah, that's amazing.
We can't turn into a newborn baby, but
no,
we can.
What do you mean we can't be born again?
We can't be. Yeah.
There's some echoes of that somewhere.
Yeah.
How would you share? How does some of the humility play out for you as an individual? When you gather people together, how do you embody humility, and how can you? What would be your words of wisdom to those of us who have a little more or feel a little more discomfort to gather with people that we may feel uncomfortable with? What would you say to us?
Yeah. Everybody struggles with humility, so I'll just start with that. I'm probably, you can ask family or friends or whatever, but there's been times that that I've been anything but that. But the idea, whenever I go back home and visit or things like that or whatever, we have completely opposite ideas. I'll just say that. Completely opposite ideas. But one thing I know we can agree on is that our love for Christ, our love for our faith, Our disagreements are all fine and dandy, because at the end of the day, we may not even know those answers exactly. But we do know at the end of the day that we can agree on what matters. And I feel like that is what, in a sense, being uncomfortable with people who are around you, or this idea of humility, find something, and I mean, everybody can find something that that you can agree on.
We're all human.
Exactly, we're all human. We all have our own stories. We all have our own points of views. Nobody's the same, and there's a reason that God did that, right? So let's not be afraid of it, and let's actually embrace our differences, and realize that maybe there's a reason why we have different interpretations on the world around us.
So that's wonderful. Christmas being a time to put aside some of the things that divide us, to gather together in humility, in the vein of how Christ came to be with us. I think that's wonderful, and I want to thank you for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And sharing your thoughts with us and your wisdom about what Christmas means to you. And I'm going to put Tyler on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot. Will you close us out in prayer this evening?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to share our stories with others around us. Thank you so much for allowing others to lend an ear and allowing us to listen to one another around us, even if we may not see eye to eye with them. Thank you so much for sending your Son down for us, such a, once again, this vulnerable state, for allowing us to look back each and every year and be reminded of this wonderful season that is with us now. So just guide us in your ways and keep us safe.
Amen. Oh, thank you. That was beautiful. And thank you all for hanging out with us this evening. As always, we want you to join the conversation with us. And you can contact Tyler directly if you have questions for him. Just go to the website, budaumc.org, and you'll see his email. I hope that you spam him and bother him and ask him all sorts of questions. If you'd like to reach out to me and you have a comment on some of the discussions we're having here, or you have a story to share, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at pastormatt@budaumc.org. But with that, we will see you next week, or we'll see you Sunday. Thanks again, Tyler. Appreciate you.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Go now in peace, go now in peace.
Go now in peace, go now in peace.
Go now in
May the love